100 years ago, after the war, our founders created a system they believed would create lasting peace. They divided society into 5 factions.
The only way you can survive is for each of you to claim your rightful place.
Everyone is tested to determine who we are and where we belong.
There are no superpowers in this. It's just humanity in the future dealing with new issues. But there are a lot of skills you need to learn to play this part. What was kind of the hardest thing to nail down or to wrap your head around?
I think acting with a green screen was a little bit tricky. You know, I'd never done that before, and when you act with a green screen, you're not connecting with anyone, you're fully relying on your own imagination, which is fun. You feel like a child again, you know, but it definitely was a new sort of way of approaching a scene. 4
is a man of few words, and you have to communicate a lot with your eyes and while being quiet. In those moments, what are you actually thinking about?
KFC chicken. In those moments, you're thinking about the scene. You have to be. If you think about anything else, then it's not going to be real. You kind of have to be it, and you have to live it, because otherwise what you're communicating isn't genuine. And I think the amazing thing about film is that, you know, this is why we love it, and we love these people who have come, you know, I'm a big cinephile. I think the camera has an ability to be able to read thoughts, as pretentious as that sounds, but it is able to read things through, you know, you're able to communicate non-verbally, and I think, so if you're not thinking anything but what you should be thinking, then they'll probably see.
So you can see ham sandwich as it goes across your mind.
Yeah, you can, on board.
But you have to nail that, like, Buckingham Palace guard stare when you have to pretend to be drugged.
Yeah.
I'm curious, can you teach me how to do that? Do you blank everything in your mind? What do you access to be able to be so...
I was thinking, like, if I was a shark and somebody turned me upside down and I had to, you know, when you turn a shark upside down, they fall asleep. They can't control it. So that's what I was just thinking. If I was a shark and somebody tipped me upside down, how would I act?
That needs to be in an acting textbook somewhere. I kind of love that. This is not an action movie, but you certainly have a lot of action that you have to do. How different of a day on set is that for you when you have to think about, because it's almost like a dance, when you're thinking about the choreography of what you're doing, plus what your character's going through. Are those heavier days?
They are, yeah, they are. Because not only, as you say, you have to kind of ground yourself in the scene and remember the emotionality, blah, 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 that kind of everything that comes with it. You're also remembering moves, like you said, it's choreography, it is dance moves in many ways, but also you need to sell the moves so it's physical, and you kind of need to get hurt a little bit to sell it, if that makes sense. You know, you should come home from a day of a big fight sequence and you should feel in pain, essentially, because, you know, then you're not in pain that you can't walk, but that you've really got yourself, you know, you've really been embedded in it. And to be honest, that's some of the kind of most gratifying and the most fun stuff in a way.
What was it like getting to work with Miles and Ansel in such different roles? I think it's so interesting when you see you guys together in this movie and then the other 2 films. It's so different.
Yeah, it was really lovely. I mean, it was nice to go into this movie knowing Miles, because it was sort of like I had a pre-established rock, you know, a sense of comfortability with somebody among a sea of new faces. And then with Ansel, it was really lovely to have known him and gotten to know him on Divergent and established a comfortability with one another, because Fault in Our Stars is really such a sensitive book full of so much heart and so much vulnerability. So to have somebody that you felt like you could go to those places with was really a gift, actually.
Were there days when you came home were there any broken fingers?
No, we're lucky. I just bruises, really, but one of the stunt guys I still feel guilty about split his lip. I clipped him and had quite a few stitches in his face, which wasn't great. But we had a great stunt team, and they, you know, he just got up again and owned it, so.
That's awesome.
Good on you, brother.
It's also so amazing to see a studio that has so much confidence in a product that they greenlight 2 sequels before the first has even come out.
Yeah.
How does that feel, knowing that that's how much confidence they have in this?
It feels great. I mean, if the studio, who is the person who, you know, found this book and decided to make this book, is behind it, then I guess, I mean, what else can you really ask for?
We've been talking to the producers about that now, because, you know, there's other things in our lives. And,
right.
But obviously, you know,
we want to work.
Insurgent is a
big
big film for us. And so,
yeah.
you know,
so we want to make it all
here we
work.
are.
But, you know,
Right.
you're right.
conflict.
It's a trip. It is a little bit
of scheduling conflict going on right now. We're not stressed at all.
Not stressed. Not at all.
But we're not drinking. No, we're not drinking. But we, it's such a good problem to have, number one. But also, you're right. I mean, it was funny because they didn't show us this film till very recently, and normally you get to see it pretty few months before the release, just to kind of get your handle on it. And, there's two worries with that. It's either, oh gosh, it's not really that good, or they don't really like it and they want to show anybody, or they're confident as all hell and they're just like, yeah, give us a minute, just wait for it.
Just wait
and
for
that
it.
ended up being the case.
Right.
That they loved the product. They wanted it to be as true to what it would be on the day before anyone saw it. And when they did, it really, I was blown away. I was so happy with it.
Good point. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, it's a good thing, especially when you're an actor. It's like you don't know when you're gonna work next. You never know that kind of stuff. So for them to be like, yeah, we're making those films, by the way, and you're like, the first one isn't even done yet. But you really, you never know. I mean, of course they're gonna greenlight it and they're gonna say, we're gonna make them, but if Divergent 1 sucks, then they're not gonna make they're not gonna make Insurgent. But Divergent's a really good film, so I'm pretty certain they're gonna make a second and a third and a fourth.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The sort of, I mean, movie called Twilight, nobody really heard about the success they brought with that. Hunger Games, they were like, oh, it's a little bit like Twilight, it's probably not going to do. Then it's another explosion of, so to sort of be along with this sort of success that the last two of their big studio movies have done, I mean, I think it's a humbling sort of experience to, if we can even do a 10th of what they've done with our sort of, trilogy, it would be pretty amazing.
You realize, though, what comes along with that is potentially conventions.
Well, we did Comic-Con already.
Okay.
So we
did
cool.
Hall, what is it, Hall H?
Hall H,
the big one. So,
yes.
And I remember like 3 years ago talking with a friend, and we were like in acting school being like, dude, Hall H, imagine if we were up there. And then it's just like the big one that you see everyone go to, and sort of the Avengers cast or something, and then to be there or get that call being like, we're going to Comic-Con for the Hall H. I mean, it was kind of a crazy experience, but it was good. It was cool.
Part of equality is the fact that women totally equal to men.
Right.
Nowadays, we can have a scene where you knock her out, you beat the hell out of her, and people are not screaming, how dare you do that.
That's how I felt when we were doing the training. I had to, I kind of, when I read it, I was like, oh, I get it. It's like in this world you have to, fight to survive. But but then once I was doing this fight choreography with Shailene, it's even when I used to do some sparring stuff, like, if you're doing it with a girl, it's like you don't want to, you're holding back. You don't want to accidentally hit them and
that was like the worst thing when you're a kid and like you threw a ball that like went astray and smacked a young girl in the face. I mean, if you throw the wrong punch in those fight scenes and actually hurt her.
Right. Then it's like, oh, then Miles is a dick.
Well, I think that's been established long before then anyway, but yeah.
The idea of making a lifelong decision at 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Can you even imagine, where do you think you guys would be if at 16 someone said, okay, choose your career and this is it?
I would die in a fire in the loony bin because I wanted to be F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. And with my adult eyes, I go, wow, I wanted to be a chronically in debt, mentally ill alcoholic. Talented! But wearing a ball gown, having a party, and then crazy.
Thank God for being able to change your mind.
And I, did all that. I just got to go to treatment, and I never had debt.
I actually picked about 16 that I wanted to do what I'm doing now. So it was insane, but it worked out okay.
We have to be ready for anything.
The world is changing. You'll have to decide who you're loyal to.
All of my life, I've lived by your rules. Not anymore.
Guy, do you long for a part when you can finally show everybody what you're working with the shirt off and the whole thing there?
I ticked that box very, very early in my short career. So I don't necessarily feel the desire to get the kit off anymore. Only when it's called for.
Get the what off? What did you say?
The kit.
Oh, get the kit off.
Yeah.
I thought you said get the kid off.
Get the kid.
Oh, what the hell are you talking about?
I know nothing about getting kids off.
Yeah, I don't.
That's definitely not the question I asked.
Although I think Divergent.
I have nothing to do with
Divergent's gonna pump him up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.